just want to let you know I was doing that. I think it told you when you joined. But
so 2 things that you want me to ask you about were the staff page, because currently we have, for Kevin, Derek, David, who are the top 3 people in our staff, we have like a little description next to their picture and all that kind of stuff. And then those that are ministry associates or directors, ministerial staff, level, we have their pictures. But then anybody that's like support staff, we don't have any pictures, but it's like a big page. So he was like, ask him about how that might work for us. Because I think they do want to keep some pictures of the, higher up people or whatever. And then he also wanted to ask about the icons at the bottom of the pages, like, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he just wanted to make sure
let me take a quick note so that I don't forget to, to mention those or to talk about those. So real quick, I'll just tell you real quickly, we have a lot of options for staff pages. We've designed them a lot of different ways. We can build them depending, there's 2 different ways that we can build them in this case, as far as just functionally. We can actually build them just, as a layout on a page, and, you guys can manage that. It's fairly manual. Like if you want to go in, you add a new picture of a person, whatever. You can also have those built as part of a ministry platform integration as well. And they can kind of be like auto-assembled. I know, I'm trying to remember, like Kendall and Brian kind of worked out some specifics of the ministry platform integration. So I don't know if that was on the list, but I know that I think you guys paid for 2, and we're already doing 1 for events. And I don't know if there's, the second one's kind of already been spoken for, but so there's 2 different ways you can do it. I would, if you guys have already kind of have that second one allocated from ministry platform, it's really not a big deal for us to lay one out for you and get that laid out. We've done a bunch of different staff pages, a bunch of different ways. And so we can kind of figure out what you guys want that to look like and then lay it out.
Okay.
And then social icons. Yeah, we can add social icons. There's a couple of different places that we can add them. Like, you can add them to the bottom. They get a little minimal down there. Like, I feel like they get lost a little bit in the footer. They can also get added up in the header as well. And then we built some integration in that you can add them kind of throughout the site if you want. And I'll show you, like we have an example of that on the sample student page that we built. There's like an Instagram feed that we built into the page too. So there's a bunch of different options for that as well that we can show you.
Okay.
So the first thing is so we're on the site, and you'll log in, and I'm going to email you all this information as soon as we're done, so you don't have to try to remember any of this. You'll log in at whatever your URL is /backstage. And let me run over here. I'm going to actually log in. I created an account for you, so we're going to kind of test it while we're logging in here. So put your username in there. I apologize. Like I'm a bit like a security fanatic, so I have these super really long passwords. You're welcome to change yours later if you want to, but I'll send it to you. Great. So we're logged in, and we're logged in.
I'm sorry. So what you're saying is it will be www.hebronchurch.org and then the /backstage.
That's correct. So like right now we're still in the development server, so it's like hebron.jux.marketing/backstage. When the site goes live, it'll be hebronchurch.org/backstage.
Gotcha. Okay.
So once you're logged in, and I'm going to keep kind of the home page in front of us as well. Because you'll also have this nice toolbar that gets added after you log in that you can use.
Okay.
Once you log in, you'll notice there's a bunch of different areas of the site that you can dig into. We're going to focus today only on pages. That's where all of the content of your site is. Like we've already built in a blog feature into the site if you guys want to use it. So it's there. We can hide that later on. This media is where, I'll just tell you what these are real quick. Media is where you edit your actual, like all your images and stuff like that. If you want to, You can upload those when you're editing a page, but if you want to go in there, you can replace one or something like that. Navigation is, where you adjust this top navigation here.
Okay.
Sidebars, we're not currently using any on your site, but it's if you have any like sidebars on any pages, you can define them there. Users, you might want to come here pretty soon because you can go to your profile and edit your password on that page or add new users.
Okay.
And then there's just some other, this is all kind of like settings stuff. Like there's all the plugins that we have running on the site. The security plugin we have running on the site. We, like I said, we're real big on security. Over the last few years, there's been just an increase in people like attempting to hack sites for no good reason whatsoever. They don't even want to do anything when they get there. They just want to cause mischief. So we're pretty big on that. A few appearance settings, a bunch of others. Like, this is all kind of just stuff that you guys won't mess with that often, honestly. We're going to dive right into pages because that's where we're going to spend most of our time. And when you click on pages, you'll get a list of all of your pages. And right now, we have 3 of them set up for you guys that we're working on. And so when you see them, there's a couple of things from this screen that are very helpful to be aware of before we even dive in. So as you mouse over one, you'll get this sort of list of settings here. Edit will launch the page editor, and you can start actually working and editing the page. Quick Edit is maybe one of my favorite handy little features. And when you click on it, it'll expose to you some quick settings that you can change about the page. And the ones that you're gonna want to be aware of the most is the title. So it's actually like the page title of the page, so homepage or student ministries or whatever. The slug is what appears after your domain name. So in this case, like home is always home, but it's Hebron.juxmarketing/home. If it were students, it would be Hebron.juxmarketing/students. And so you can set this if you want to. So for instance, if you have always used the short link /student ministries, you could update this to be /student ministries, and it would be the same. So this is actually editing the link that people go to in the site, and it's really handy if you're creating like short URLs and stuff like that to just have that handy and consistent. The last thing that you'll edit a lot under here that's kind of handy is the status. You can move something from published to a draft status. And if it's in a draft status, and that means that nobody in the front end of the world, your congregation or visitors to your page can actually see it. So a lot of times people like to work on a page in a draft mode and then at a certain time publish it. So you might be looking at this in draft mode, and then you could come in. And the great thing is you can edit these in bulk. So if you were to check like 3 of these, you could go bulk actions, edit, and apply. And so then you could change the status of like 3 pages all at one time. This is really handy, especially for like if you have an event page or something like that, and the event's over, and you want to come in and pull that page down, you can do it really quickly. And if you do it, by the way, just let me know if you do a lot of that stuff. We don't, by default, build these in, but we have some plugins that we can add that will auto expire a page. So, if you want to say like on October 2nd, we need to pull this page down at 8 in the morning, then we can create a tool that will automatically do that for you.
Okay.
So this is a great feature for editing some simple information about the page. There's lots of other stuff under here, but that's the one you're going to work on the most. Trash is obvious. You're going to delete it. There is a trash bin. So once you delete something, you haven't fully deleted it. So if you actually click that, don't worry. It's still there. You can go grab it and bring it back up.
Okay.
View will take you to that page on the front end of the site. So if I click, view, it would launch the front end of the site.
Okay.
And my all-time favorite feature on the entire site, I'll probably say it 3 times, but this is my most favorite one, is the clone button. And if you click clone, and we're going to do that, I'm going to do this to the student page real quick. It will create a 100% duplicate copy of that page, everything about it, in draft mode. So that if you want to go in, so like we were talking the other day, if you have an event page and we get an event page styled and set up exactly the way that you want it, you can just clone that all day long, go in, change the copy, rename it, and you're good to go. So it's super, super helpful button.
Okay.
All right, so that's some of the page settings. Let's jump in and let's start looking at the page editor. Let's look at the home page. We'll look at both, but all right. So when you come in, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to say let's not look at this today, just because it's not going to be as helpful for today, and it's going to be everything on the right hand side here. So this whole column on the right, we're just going to kind of not pay attention to that today. What we want to look at is the layout builder today, because that's really the meat and potatoes of the page editor. So again, you have your page title. This is the same thing we were looking at the quick edit. This is your slug here. So remember we had a /home on the outside. You can also edit it here as well. So click edit, and you can type in a new slug if you want to. And then you have our editor. And as you can kind of see, it's laid out in a sort of a visual way with these different blocks in place. And we're going to go through all of these so that you feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
We have 3 different kinds of layout modules that we've installed on the site for you guys. And just so we can move these around, I'm going to open up a brand new fresh page, and we can look at these kind of individually. So first is we have layout elements. So think of these as like your building blocks of a page. So you have some different column widths down here. So it's a full width column. So if we drop it in, it's full width. You have half column widths that you can drag in. You can mix some things. So like we can size down a half to a quarter. And then there's actually a little clone button here. So like I have 2 quarters. These are all of your building blocks. And you can put stuff inside of them, like just to do this really fast, you can throw a text element inside or an icon box inside one of these. It's very visual and very kind of drag and drop, which is really fun to manage. The one of these that's a little bit different, and one of my favorite things is what's called a color section. And the reason that I really love color sections is color sections are like big containers. In kind of Dreamweaver language, it's a container, and it holds a lot of other things. You can put columns inside of a color section. So, for instance, if I wanted to have like 3 1/3 elements inside of this, I can do that. And the other thing that is handy about that is I can also, so if I have these 3 columns, I can move them together, so I can reorder them on the page. So and I can put a lot of stuff inside of a color section. I can have, if we look at the home page, you'll notice like everything is kind of wrapped in a color section. Like this whole welcome to Hebron Church is in a color section. The are you fully engaged is inside of a color section. The whole events and all the things that make up the events layout is inside a color section. And we're doing that so we can kind of, I'm sorry?
How do you adjust the color then?
Well, okay, so here's the weird thing. The naming of the word color section is really probably the worst naming in all of layout history, because it has a lot of control over color, but it isn't like color. And so let me show you one of the great things about them is that they are one of the areas that you can control whole background colors. So like you see, are you fully engaged? Mm-hmm. We have this whole background. So for any element in the whole layout builder, you'll see these icons here. The first one is to create a template, and you can create a template from a single item. These are all nested. So this would be creating a template of this little text box. If I go up one level and create a template of this column, I'm creating a template of that column, the 3/5 column, with that text box inside of it. And I can even go one higher and I can make a template of that whole color section, which would include the layout inside of it, the background color that's around it, the text box that's inside of it. And so we use this a lot. That's another reason why we wrap things in color sections, is because we create templates of those layouts, and then you can reuse them over and over and over again throughout the site. It is the most helpful thing in laying out the site. The second little icon here is the clone. So, you know, we use that a lot, even in simple page layout. So if you're like, I've got this sort of header and body copy thing working great, I want to use it down here. I'm going to, you know, come here and I'll clone this. And then I can grab that and, you know, I can move that down into this part as well.
Okay.
And then the last thing is everything also has settings, and the settings for color sections are the most powerful on the whole site. I'm trying to find what has like a lot of stuff going on in it, but we really use a lot of solid colors on your site. So I'll click on the events one, and every single layout element that we have has its own set of settings that you can edit. So in this one, for instance, and it's impossible to walk through all of the settings because we have about 90 layout modules and they all have unique settings to them. The best way to do it is to kind of reverse engineer some of the pages that we've created for you guys and go in and just tinker. You know, you can create a clone of that page and go in and tinker around with it because it takes a little bit of exploration. There's no way to tell you all of it. But this color section has things like we can set how tall is it. When we create sites that have like full height, you know, image backgrounds like parallax, full, you know, you can set that to 100%. And so it's covering out all the page and you can add that parallax background to it. And I may pull up at some point other sites to show you examples of that as well. Padding, and is there any border styling associated with it? Like if you had a top section, you wanted an arrow kind of pointing people down, like letting them know there's more content below. But here's the cool part, is the section background. So you can add a background image, or color, I'm sorry. You can actually also add a background image to it. And you can then, once you do that, I'm just gonna grab a quick image here. Once you do that, you can also set the sort of the scrolling treatment to it. So do you want it to be, scroll means it will move with the page. So as you scroll up, it's going to scroll up too. Fixed means that the image stays exactly 100% fixed, which actually creates the best parallax effect unless you have a lot of layers. And then also you have parallax as well. And parallax is, you know, has that feeling like the stuff is scrolling over it, revealing it like a window.
Okay.
I think we have an example of that on the students page. So this top section is a color section with an image set, a background image set to fixed. So you'll notice the text is going to slide up and his hand is going to stay fixed.
Okay.
We also do that. We added a little visual break here. So we have a background image again with the background set to fixed. And so you get that cool, like kind of like reveal feeling as you're moving through the picture.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do that with like, repeating backgrounds is a great place to use that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gwinnett Church, but when they did their pre-launch website, they had this pattern made that had the For Gwinnett logo in there. And they put that as like this nice little visual break in the middle. And it was a really nice effect on their site.
Okay.
And then repeat for placement, you know, you can play with that, how that's going to work best. It basically means where is the image going to crop from first. So if you set it to top left, that means it will protect the top left section of the you know, the screen size scales down. It'll protect and try to make sure this part's always visible while cropping from the bottom right first.
Okay. Is that the typical?
Sorry?
Is that the typical setting that people use?
No, what typical is find your subject in your picture and set it to that. So like for instance, in this one, there's kind of like I would say like this might be the subject of the picture, if you want to call it that. So I would set it to something like bottom center or maybe center center. And so then it'll crop from the right and the left first, and so it'll try to keep this center part always visible. So yeah, the usual and the easiest is figure out where your subject is, where the most important part of the image is, and set it to that.
Okay.
And this site is truly fully responsive, which means it will scale to literally any screen size. So, from some weird laptop sizes to tablet to phone. And so those are a little tricky sometimes with picking images, because you never can tell exactly what resolution someone's looking at your site in. And so image selection can sometimes be a little tricky to make sure that it works for every single size.
Mm-hmm.
And then background repeat, you can, if you have like a pattern that you're using, you can tile it or set it to repeat so that you get that pattern effect. You can also tell it to stretch the image to fit. So that means that like it won't honor aspect ratio. So, it may stretch your photo, but it will make sure that it always, the whole color section is always filled with image. And then scale to fit is sort of similar to that, but it will scale it up so that it will go beyond. Some parts may crop, but it'll make sure it's scaled proportionally to fill the color section. And then one last thing to mention on this, which is pretty helpful, is the background overlay. You may be familiar with in Photoshop, if you have a background that is sometimes kind of hard for text to be read on, you might just like throw on a semi-transparent gray background or black background just as a screen to kind of help the text read on it. Well, you can actually do that right here in the content management system. So instead of like having to go back out to Photoshop and be like, okay, make that background even a little bit darker, that one part's still too bright or whatever, you can do that right in here, and it makes things really fast. All you have to do is enable the overlay and then set what level of transparency you want. So like a 1 is fully opaque, and then 0.9 is 90% opacity on down. So usually I'm working between like 0.5 and 0.8 depending on what I need. You can set a color. I'm almost always using black, and then I'll set no back. There's some background patterns that we've preloaded for you guys, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest using that. I'm going to do a couple of settings so we can really quickly see what we just did, and you can kind of see the speak of the notes one I just edited. I forgot. Oh yeah, the event section. So we have that event. Yeah, I was like, I forgot which one. So you can see like the parallax effect, of the content moving over it, and relative to the color of our, of our image originally, you can also see like how we have that dark screen attached to it. If we had, because if we have snow in here, if we were using white text, that'd be super handy, because now the white snow isn't white on top of white back, white letters.
Right.
So, and I'm gonna refresh so that we don't take those settings. So let's go through. So that's most of that was really to kind of introduce the layout elements to you. So you've got a lot of column settings and stuff like that you can work with. Again, the best way is to look at the individual settings and just kind of play with those. If you have specific questions, like obviously we're here well past the launch. If you have any questions for us, like we're always here for you guys. So don't feel funny about emailing me or texting or whatever and saying, hey, laying out a page and this just isn't working out the way I thought it would. I can usually pretty quickly tell you what the setting is, and we can get it resolved really fast.
Okay.
The The next section of elements we have are content elements. So these are all your buttons and your text and your icon lists and all that kind of stuff like that. So you have like a text block, some white space elements. You won't be dealing with these like this that often because we've pre-built layouts for you guys that you can use as templates. But just if you need something new, just know this is where they would be. And, you know, like if you're kind of like, oh, I think we actually built some icons for you. But if by chance you're thinking, oh, I need an icon and I don't have an icon, here's one that we already built. But you could come up here and grab an icon element, you know, drag it in, and then start working with it if you wanted to.
Huh.
So there's a bunch of them, buttons and grids and all kinds of fun stuff, contact forms, things like that. And then the last section is media elements. So this is all of your, you know, your pictures and videos and stuff like that that you might want to work with. And so, you know, you have images. You can lay in image with hotspots, which is a really fantastic feature. You can actually drag little spots over an area, you know, and we have a church that's doing. Have you guys heard the phrase section ministry? That was kind of new to me recently.
No.
Where like you have parts of your sanctuary and people always sit in that spot and they have like a section captain. Are you guys hearing about that yet?
No.
It's brand new it was brand new to me. Like there's a church, Willow Creek started doing it, and once Willow Creek started doing it, I guess it started taking off, but I just heard about it like a month ago. But they're doing like a section ministry thing. And so they have, we have a map of their sanctuary and we put hotspots on it with like the people that are the section captains for that area. So it's a great little tool where you can like put these little dots on the map and work with them that way. I'll show you an example of it. I'll show you an example of it because one of those great things, like I love anything that we don't have to go into Photoshop for, because like I love Photoshop, but I don't love having to like constantly go, you know, back and forth between Photoshop and other things. So this is an image with hotspots. So we just have this, you know, background image of the iPad here, and then there's these little dots on there, and you can set the dots to do a lot of different things. So these are being set to pop up stuff. You can have them be links if you want to. Had another church that had like a pray for Africa kind of thing going on. And so they had a map of Africa and they had different like prayer requests over all the map of Africa. So it's pretty neat. You can drop in a video. You can embed videos from YouTube or Vimeo natively, which is so great. Again, you don't have to ever go get like embed code or anything like that. Just drop in the element and go view the video on YouTube or Vimeo and paste in a link. So like, you know, this is what a Vimeo link usually looks like. You can just paste one in there and you're done. That's all you got to do. It's so great.
Yeah, that's a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, and you're like done. I'll show you that on the student page, just so you can see like how that, you know, how that kind of plays out. It's so great. We have a bunch of different sliders that you can use. Like we're using this full screen slider for you guys on your home page. So it's, you know, taking up the whole available height of the page.
Mm-hmm.
And we will look at that for just a second because there's some settings in here that are helpful. I'm doing a funny thing with this All Pro Dad thing that I was just trying out to see how it worked, and it worked out pretty neat, but it makes the editor look kind of funny. So when you launch your full screen slider, you'll see several different, you know, there's a thumbnail of that particular slide. Again, this is really kind of funny because I did that All Pro Dad thing. And then you'll see like there's the thumbnail, there's the text that we put on the screen. You can, if like you really like this one, like this is a common layout that you guys use, you can like duplicate that last element. Keep actually clicking on it too. Or you can just add a brand new one. If you want to delete one, it's pretty easy, just delete it. So like, you know, if you do a weekly thing where you come in and replace your scrollers, you know, you can just come in and copy a couple of new ones in there and then delete the old ones. It's pretty easy. When you open one up, There's a lot of little settings in here. These are a lot simpler than the color section. The color section is the most powerful tool we have on the whole site. Everything else gets a little simpler from there. So you can choose what kind of slide it is. You can do video slides if you want. So you have like a video scrolling background if you want. And you can, again, you can use any video off of Vimeo or YouTube natively. You can also, if you have like maybe a 10 or 15 second loop that, you guys created, you can also upload that to the site. I still recommend, if you guys, I know you guys have a Vimeo account, I still recommend uploading it to Vimeo, because Vimeo will send the right size file for whatever screen that person is looking on. Whereas the site will it'll load whatever file you uploaded. So just really recommend, if you're using any kind of video, using Vimeo as like a media server for you guys.
Okay.
If you have questions about that.
So, I'm trying to think. I think 12 Stone may have what you're talking about.
The same.
So what you're saying is like the background that you had the photo on would be an image or a video running like on a loop.
Yeah,
say
actually,
like work or something.
Yeah, I'll go back to the same page. Like here's an example. So we're using a full screen slider just like we used on your page, and so we have this loop of this tradesman working in the background. And so all we did was set this up as a video background. And I'll give you one more example. So this is one that's for discipleship curriculum. And it would take a while I'm demoing it. And we have an image of a group meeting in the background. Kind of just our video, I'm sorry, playing in the background of them meeting. So that's just, you have a choice of either doing an image background like what we've done here, or you can also do that as videos as well. So it's completely your choice. It's just whatever you guys. Videos are really cool. I usually recommend doing stuff that feels a little bit texture-ish and ethereal. Like if you were to do if you wanted to do like starting a new teaching series as an ad, and you wanted to have a video of your pastor teaching, I would suggest like adding some soft focus. Like if you have a video guy or something like that, like adding some soft focus or a little bit of blur to it. Things that are too sharp and in focus as video, they fight with the text. So, you might have like him teaching in the background, but make it more blurry and a little bit like out of focus, and then put your text on top of it.
Okay.
Just seems to work better. So if you have an image, either way, like I'll just show you, like if you replace it with a video, it's just going to give you some video options, like what video URL. Again, you just can grab a Vimeo link, paste it in there. You have a fallback image for mobile devices. So like mobile devices can't autoplay video. They always have to hit play. And so you'll want to take a screenshot of your video and put it in as a fallback image for them. And then there's a couple, like if it's from Vimeo, you can hide the controls, which you would obviously want to do. If there's any audio, you'll definitely want to mute it. You'll definitely want to loop it. So there's a couple like settings here you'll definitely want to check.
Okay.
Most of the time you'll probably do images, and those are a little simpler. You just, again, you can pick an image that you have in your library, or if you want to upload a new one. One thing I didn't mention earlier, and I love about this, is you can just drag a file from your desktop anywhere onto this canvas, and it'll start uploading. So it's really fast and really handy. Like you can drag 20 images up here, depending on your internet connection. That'll go faster or slower. But yeah, you can drop in like a new image. So we'll just pick like this street here. We're going to change the image. Interesting. Went to the logo. Unless I clicked something wrong. There it is. I must have clicked the wrong thing when I went to go there. And then again, image position. So pick what part of your image. So I'm going to say center on this one, because our road's kind of running right to the focal point right here in the middle of the picture. You can add a caption. So let's look at these captions real quick. So we have welcome. and we're glad you're here. Let's go over to this one so you can see kind of where those play out. Welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just replace those. I have these sizes set at like 64 and 24. You can make them bigger or smaller. Like that's completely up to you, and you can look at it and decide. We thought that looked really nice for that particular slide, but if you have something that needs to work a little differently, that's great. Like just do it however you want. Right now we have it centered without a frame. A frame is like a dark gray box behind it that helps the text stand off of the page if you have anything kind of like competing with it. So I'll make it center frame so when we're done we can look at the example and see. We've added 2 buttons in this case. So again, we'll go back here. We got these 2 buttons.
Mm.
You can have no buttons like we did with the Alfred ad graphic. So we had no buttons and we just linked this entire image. So if they click anywhere on the image, it'll go there. Or you can have, one button or 2 buttons.
Okay.
And then so you have your button title. What do you want on the button? What should it look like? Light or dark, basically, is some of your options. You can also add some colors. And then set where you want that button to go. So you might have like it's a new worship series. Here, let's play with this to you a little bit. New series. And then, you could say like, worship with us might be 1. We'll leave that one alone. And then learn more. And then you can also, you can set that. So usually we recommend not setting links manually. And I'll tell you why in a second, but you can select as a different way of doing it. You can select page. We only have 3 pages on the site right now, so there's not going to be a lot to link to. We can link to the calendar, and we'll set page, and we'll also link to the students page here. And the reason we recommend doing it that way, if you change a page, if you change the slug or the page title or anything on the site, like you move that page somewhere else, and you did it this way, the site will automatically update your links for you, which is super cool because you don't have to get a whole bunch of broken links because you just renamed the page and you forgot that all the places that you had linked to that page.
Yeah.
But if you set it manually, then it's gonna, no matter what, it's gonna go to whatever link you set it as. So
gotcha.
I only recommend setting things manually if you're going to link to something off of the site. So you can link anywhere in the world you want to. If you want to link to like the Boy Scouts or Promise Keepers or Google, it doesn't matter. You can link anywhere you want, but only if I'm linking off the site do I recommend doing something manually.
Okay.
So we'll hit save real quick, and we'll leave that one here. You can also reorder these pretty easily. So if you click on that little arrow and drag, you can move these up or down, like super easy, not hard to do. And these are all sort of settings that we've set for that slideshow. So what kind of transition it has, like if you want to slide versus fade, should it automatically be sliding through? How long? So if you, like right now we have it set to 5 seconds. That usually feels good for a lot of people, but some people like 6 or 7. So, if you want to update that, you can, just set it to 7 seconds. And there's some styling stuff down here. We added that, remember on the color section, that down arrow that I mentioned, we have that turned on for this one. So I'm going to update that real quick and we can look at what we just did. So there's our first one. Oh, I didn't wait long enough. I'm on a, actually, I'm sorry, because I am up in Livonia, Georgia. I'm on like the not best internet connection in the world.
Oh, I hear you.
I'm used to hitting update and things are like done immediately. And so sometimes like, so you can see we have our frame here. Remember we turned on that frame. So it's kind of helping that stand out if we want that there. But then we have our new buttons that we link to. So just a couple of things that you can play with and change as you want to. So these, no frame, that one, sorry, the other one. This one has no frame, so it's just the text sitting on top of the background.
Okay, so question.
Sure.
If you didn't want it to be squared off edges, you wanted it to be like rounded images, or, on the frames or whatever. Can you
Sure.
do that, or is it always the squared off edge?
Well, it's set right now to be that way. That would be something that we would have to change. Like we'd have to add a little bit of code for you, some CSS, just to round those off. I mean, it's not a problem. If you guys would like that done, just let me know, and we'll add a little bit of code to do that for you.
Okay. I mean, I don't know that they will, but I know in our current site with some of the buttons that Diane created, she had them as kind of rounded off edges, So I mean, I think this looks fine, but in case somebody asks, that's what I wanted to know.
Sure, and we're definitely happy to help with that. In general, on the whole site, Randy had sent us a couple of examples, and a lot of those examples used hard edges. So like you'll notice like all of our buttons, like this one and these, and like here, we're using a lot of hard edges throughout the site. Like these images, like we specifically set them to have these sort of hard corners to them.
Right.
So that's stylistically built into the site right now to have those hard edges.
Okay.
So that's a great thing to clarify. If we decided we want rounded edges, we would need to start going back and kind of re-adding them in on all of the elements of the site.
Okay.
But that's not a problem. We're happy to do that. Just letting you know that, like right now, we've actually gone sort of the opposite direction. So if we need to go back and adjust that, just let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, I always like it for as little as we can to not use frames. I feel like they're sort of a last option. If that's all you can do without the frame is usually better. And I do have an overlay here too added, like you remember on the color section we could add to the picture. And that's why I didn't use a frame on the other one, was because I had that background on there that helped my text stand off. So I think that looks I like that a little bit better, but looks like Colorado. Yeah. I was just out in Colorado. Cool. So there's that section. Then we just have, this is a simple color section. We're using these columns strictly for spacing purposes. It can look a little funny if your text really like runs all the way to the edges of the page. So like, remember Randy the other day asked, he's like, like, can we change the, where that word is breaking? And I was like, yeah, we have it set to 3/5. Well, this is where I was setting that 3/5 kind of spacing there. So you could adjust that to like 1/2 and 2/4 if you wanted to, or whatever. But we have these in here just purely for spacing purposes. And then we have this text block sitting in the middle. Mm-hmm. We have another color section here, and inside of that we have this "Are you fully engaged?" headline. Underneath that we have, this is a horizontal rule that we added, just as a break, and it has a margin top and bottom. Then we have this tab section here. Tab sections are a little interesting, and I'll spend just a second on these, in that if you click on them, they have drop zones for each tab. So you'll notice like the first one says, worship together. So let's look at that on the front. So worship together, and then there's the Sunday morning worship. There's a couple of options, and then there's this countdown running. On the background that's represented here, we have a half column with that text, the 2 buttons that we just clicked at, and we had the countdown running. If we click on the second tab, then we have a different set of drop zones that we can work on. So if we click on the second one, there's these 3 drop zones. So it's a little bit different. Tab sections are a little bit different than anything else, but they give you this option to sort of have this tabbed navigation that people can go through. And then the last part down here is we have an events. We have a color section. Inside of that, we're sort of holding this events thing. That sounds really technical. It's really a gallery of images. So if you look at the way that this is sort of played out on the site, we have this gallery of images here. They have a little animation added to them just for effect. And then they're linked. So when you go to edit the gallery, if you click on one, there's a custom link option here. And so all you have to do is, you can put any link that you want inside of there.
Okay.
And now that one will link to that particular event. I know we're talking, like I said, I think there is an NP event module that's in the works as well. This one I would recommend is probably still would play out this way, because the NP events module will look and feel a little differently. But I think for your homepage, your prime kind of homepage events, we might still use this module.
Okay.
And that's it. So if you you can add more. I have it set right now to only show 6 pictures, so that we have this nice even spacing that we've set up. So you can delete one pretty easily. So you go to Add Edit Gallery, and just click on the X, and that gets rid of one. And then if you want to add one, you can go over to your gallery again. I'm going to add a picture. I bet this one's going to break our perfect little aspect ratio that we have going on.
So if I wanted to, I saw where it said reverse order on there, but if I wanted to manually put one in a certain position, where do you go to do that?
Great question. I'll show you. And I mentioned to Randy today, we just did all of ours at 1920 by 1080. And so when I added this tall image in there, it completely messed up our nice even spacing that we had going on. It's no, we'll put back in a pretty one, make it work right. Yeah, it's really,
you have to go into Photoshop to adjust that, right?
Yeah, and we thought these would be more designed images, because we don't have text around them or anything like that. So these are, I think the pictures that we have here are probably good examples where you would actually design something specifically with the text on it and then link to that page. So these are more controlled. A lot of the other things, this section right here, you can pretty much throw any picture in the world in it and it's going to work. It's going to scale the way you want it to. There's a lot of other sections that way too, the color sections are all that way. But this was one I thought you guys would probably want a little bit more control over. And so it's very designed. It's set to work with a 1920 by 1080 image. But yeah, okay, so it's super hard to reorder these. You come find the image that you want, and you click on it and just drag it wherever you want it.
Okay, good.
And that'll reorder them. So this is your first one. They kind of run in order. So there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you just drag them whatever order you want, and they'll go that way.
Mm-hmm.
So just click, and then hit save. Always remember to click your update button so your changes get saved. We'll refresh. There you go. And just a particular way to kind of put those together. It looks like we put 2 side by side.
Mm-hmm.
But we can adjust that. I didn't think I did, but make sure they're apart. I have to remember, there was something about the way I ordered these that I had to remember about that, but I don't recall right now. But yeah, you can just drag them around and it'll set the order for them. There we go. Okay, so this is the home page. Let's look at the student page real quick. We're going to leave that page. So there's just a slightly different set of stuff. So if you're on the front end and you're logged in, we're looking at the student page right here, you'll notice it says edit page. On a site your size that'll have as many pages as you will. This is one of my favorite buttons too, because you don't have to go hunting and pecking through the back end to find the page you want. You can just click edit page and be right there working on it.
Okay.
So the first thing is, and we kind of recommend always having a page banner at the top of your page. Just let people know visually kind of where they're at on the site. So we're using a color section here for that purpose. It has the background image built into the color section. And then we have a text box that just has, the title here in an H1. And that's pretty much it. Like it's pretty simple. Like to replace that, you come in here, you can replace the image and replace the text, and you're ready to go for the next ministry. We have another welcome here, and I did tell we can add a line break pretty easily.
But you said if you add a hard break, that it might mess it up on other devices, right?
That's true. I'm making a judgment. I mean, I'm going to make like a judgment call that I think just with that particular spacing, it's probably going to work out on most screens. I'm starting to scale down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it works all the way down to phone. And that's just a judgment call. Like I kind of looked at it and I was like, yeah, I think that's enough copy right there that it's going to work out, you know. But it might not always do that. So
where are you doing that, where you're, you know, seeing everything, all the different?
I just grabbed kind of the right-hand side of the page and started scaling my page down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was like a tool lever you can push on different icons that do different aspect ratios of the devices that are out there.
Yeah, and I know, I don't know, like Chrome doesn't have this option, I don't think. Maybe they do, I can't remember. But Safari does, where there's actually, it's called Enter Responsive Design Mode, and it will show you a preview of the page at different sizes. So like you'll have a button and you push it for iPhone 6, and then you'll have another button for a 1020, you know, resolution kind of screen, and you can click on all those different ones and see how it's going to look. And it gives you a really good approximation. I find that honestly, just doing this works really well. Like I'll just grab the right-hand side of my browser and just start scaling it to get a sense of, like, you know, you can see the line breaks. Like we kind of noticed this like ministries one and it's a really weird size, but it's like right between Breaksport breaks for a tablet. Probably not a big deal because you're probably never going to have anyone try to look at it at that particular aspect ratio, but it's something we can take a look at. But then you start seeing your breaks for tablet and phone. And then, you know, but I use this a lot just for preview purposes, just to kind of see like, okay, is this working out? And then if I, you know, a lot easier to troubleshoot on my computer than it is on my phone. So then once I get it done there, I'll like double check it on my phone, like kind of as a last step.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we have a similar like text box here that we had on the home page. This section is a pretty easy section. It's a color section with 3 1/3 columns and 3 images, and then some text and a button. So to see what that looks like real quick. So we have these 3, you know, so there's your image, your text, and your buttons.
So are those images right there, you have to have those at a certain size as well?
They're really helpful, and the reason, if you have them set for 1920 by 1080, it's going to be really helpful, because otherwise, like this one's going to be a little taller than the other one, and it won't have that nice, even look across them. The system is built to be super flexible, so it'll take whatever you put in there and try to make it work, you know? The problem with that is that when it does, sometimes it will scale things, like it'll try to show all of your picture. And so if you have a taller picture in there than the one next to it, it just doesn't look as even. So we don't have this one trying to crop anything. Like we're not setting a specific height and width. So it's kind of like the plus and the minus of flexibility. You know, if you put something else in there, it'll work. It just won't look as clean from a design perspective.
Right. Okay. So you said the scale on that is 1920 by 1080, right?
Yep. Almost all of the images on the site, we tried to create a really common size for 1920 by 1080.
Okay.
And we did that honestly because a lot of people create worship graphics at 1920 by 1080. So we're like, if you create a worship slide, then your website slide will work for it too, you know?
Okay.
This is another gallery. It's really similar to the gallery we had on the home page. We're just not doing links. Instead, we're linking to a light box here that people can, you know, scroll through. Light boxes are really great for mobile phones too, by the way, because it takes away the header and the footer and everything, and it'll let the phone go to the maximum size that the screen will allow. So people can actually see the images a little bit bigger. Looking at this picture, this is like the page banner for this page.
Okay, so another question. Currently, we have, like, for adults, students, children, preschool, we have a rotating graphic. On the right-hand side, it gives you, like, the details and a link if you need to, like, reserve childcare or, you know, register through MP or whatever. So where would those go? Like, if it's a specific student event or a specific adult event or something along those lines.
Sure. So you have a slider. You can. There's a lot of different ways that we could lay this out. So we took a lot of the content that you guys currently had and use that. But we also were in this. We're kind of also recommending some other layouts for you guys. So one thing is like a lot of. So in this, we can replace. We have a page banner here. You can replace that page banner if you want with a slider, and that would work great. And you could put that up there as well. And so you have like all of that's kind of built in and ready to go. So we would just kind of like drop in a slider for you. I'm going to do this super fast. So this may not be like 100% perfect. So I was just trying to show you what it should look like. But here's a slider we could put in here for you really quick. And you could put text on it just like you did on the home page and have that. So there's lots of layout options. We're not necessarily saying this is the only layout that you guys may ever need to use. But there's some options there. The other thing we kind of thought was like some of these seem to be like promos for other things. And the way I was thinking about them, I'm having trouble getting my words together right now. But we'll have some, rollovers, like these will drop down. So we're thinking about maybe just linking straight to those ministries. So like right now, it seems like you kind of have like a landing page for students. And then, but like from the home page or from the navigation, there's not like a place to go right to middle school ministry. But I was thinking maybe like on this site, we could actually go straight to middle school ministry.
Right.
Because I'm kind of interpreting, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, that this really is acting as like a second level of navigation for you guys, right? So like I click on students, but if I want to get to middle school, like my method for getting to middle school is using this button, right?
Correct. I mean, that is at the top. I mean, if you scroll down, obviously it has the same thing where you go to the middle school page, but that would be the prominent visual up there at the top. So well, and then the gray box at the top under the green line is the same thing. So there's like 3 different ways on that page to get there.
Cool. Let me.
But it's not necessarily easy to find.
So I think my thought had been to add it from the nav here, so people would go like straight to it. But there's a handful of options that I think are helpful here. The other one that we can put into place is I'm looking for it real quick. We can also add a sub navigation in here as well. I'm going to add like a couple of. Well, I'll just use that. It'll be good enough to illustrate. So like if we want to have a student ministries landing page and then navigation to the next level. So here we could add like a next level. This is where you could put, and I just cloned the top navigation here, but you can create a new one if you want. But it could be like, middle school, I'm sorry, I can't remember all the links, high school, college, and 20s as a second level navigation here as well.
Okay.
So a couple of layouts. Go ahead.
When Disciple Now comes and Camp comes and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know that they would necessarily want it below there, but I guess if it has the slides up at the top, if they can they click on those at the top, like where the road is right now?
Sure. Yeah, and we can add buttons. Like this is basically a shortened version of the same module that we have on the homepage. So we can add
Okay.
text and buttons and all that kind of stuff to it.
Okay.
But, you know, so like discipleship now and stuff like that, those are a little different. Like we were thinking to treat those as events.
Okay.
And so again, remember that like modules are reusable on any page. Like that events module we have on the home page, we could add it to the student page, or we could add it, you know, we can have this be an event kind of section.
Okay.
By the way, you asked me that, and then I kind of forget all the different things that we did. All that content that was in the scroller, we actually put right here. And I just forgot.
Okay.
So this is the same thing. So if you look at the scroller here, you have high school, and then you have this high school information here. We put it right here. So at high school, and we put all high school information.
Okay.
Which wasn't really far down the page. I'm going to delete these two little things we created real fast. Which wasn't all that far down the page when we originally created it, because we just had the page banner and the welcome, and then this was the first bit of like real information on the page.
Okay.
Sorry, I kind of forgot I remember that I was like, I put everything on there, but I don't remember where I put it. But this is an example.
So the purpose of the pictures at the bottom, the purpose of the pictures at the bottom of the page, whatever it was, yeah, all of those. What is the purpose in those?
So one of the things I was telling Brian is like this page is not meant to be the perfect like student ministry page. It's an assembly of templates we built for you guys that you can use wherever you want on the site. So like we may even add to this, like, you know, I may throw at the bottom of this, that slider that we just built, the sub menu that we just built. Like we may put those down at the bottom for you guys. And so this is like your master template page, if you want to call it that. So we just wanted to show you guys an example of what you could use a gallery for. And like what we're thinking of is, let's say D-Now weekend is over, and you guys want to be like, we had an awesome D-Now weekend. Check out a gallery of pictures that we took over the weekend.
Okay.
So this is just a photo gallery that you guys can use. You know, you might put a heading above it. You know, like we could reuse this heading right here over it and be like D-Now weekend pictures or something like that. So we just wanted you guys to see that there is a gallery option, how it would look, how it would function mobile and stuff like that.
That makes sense now, because I was like, these don't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and really just thinking of this, it's kind of funny because like we built what was an attractive looking page, but it's not meant to be like the perfect student ministry page. It's really meant to be like, here's all these templates that you guys can reuse anywhere throughout the site.
Okay.
And again, the same thing, like if we look at the homepage, like you asked me about events, like D-Now weekend or the student ministry retreat or whatever is a great example where you could reuse this whole events module on the student page, and you could bring it over here and have, you know, an event section there as well that they could use. So this is just like you guys had some go back over to your page real quick. Yeah, there's a little resource like the medical release forms and stuff like that you know, those are pretty important. So we added those all here. So this is just an icon list that we added links to.
Okay.
Sort of a vision section, but you could use it for, this is a really flexible section. A lot of people use it for lots of different things. Like it's right now I have it set up for kind of vision, you know, like what are we about? You know, we're about community, we're about service, we're about mission. I may have taken that from your site, maybe not. I may have borrowed it, but it may have just made it up. So you could put that in there. Or if you wanted to have like our 3 weekly offerings, you know, like so we have a Wednesday night event, we have a Sunday morning event, and we have a Sunday night event, you know, kind of thing. It's just a really reusable, kind of flexible icon section that you can use for lots of different stuff. You know, 3 ways to get connected with us, or you know, that kind of thing. This is purely a visual break. Sometimes like going down the page, like you just have a lot of text and you just need like some graphic in there just to be a little bit of visual, you know, to break up the text, provide a visual break between 2 different sections. That's what that is. And again, that's just, we look at it, it's really great because it's just, here's our 3 icons that we just put there. It's just a color section with a background image in there. And we specified the height to be fairly short. So it's just like a 250 pixel high visual break in here. And personally, I think it's really cool. Like, what's great to use these for is if you have like like for student ministry, if you have an image of like some students mingling, just hanging out, like you can put it on there. And what's cool is it reveals. So from the bottom, you start seeing like hands and people, and then you're scrolling up and you start seeing a couple of faces, and then you see like people connecting. So it like draws a lot of attention to the image, and people see different aspects of it as they scroll through, it can be really cool visually.
Okay.
About student ministries, have an accordion in here. I love accordions. Accordions are great because you can fit a ton of information in a really small space. You could use this layout like for a retreat. So you're going to be like student ministry retreat, and the date right here. You could be like, where are we going? What are the dates? Permission slips, like you can fit all of that inside of one of these accordions, and it makes like something like a retreat, which could take up like a whole page, fit in a nice little condensed section, and you can put like a picture or a video. This is an example of, I just dropped a Vimeo link in here. So remember I was mentioning earlier, it's really easy to do a video. All I did was drop a Vimeo link from I found your Vimeo page. I recognize the logo, but found your Vimeo page, found your first visit video, and just dropped a link. I didn't have to have admin rights or anything. I just popped it in there, and it works really great. So, and then we have a couple things here at the bottom. So just have like a little staying in touch, like social media section. So this is some contact information. Again, I try to include most everything off of your page. So like if you look, there's really almost everything is in here. So this, contact information, text information, and then we did like an Instagram integration. So this is dynamically pulling pictures off of their Instagram feed. And like this was posted an hour ago. You and I've been talking for an hour. I didn't do anything. It's here.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool that you can integrate that. You can also use this kind of integrations with like Facebook or Twitter if you want. So pretty neat. You can load, follow them on Instagram or load more.
Okay.
And so this is just a short code. When we get into like really editing the site, let me know and I can show you more about how to like grab multiple, and you can do multiple Instagram feeds like for every ministry if you want. So if like student ministries has one and children's ministry has one, and what you can do a ton of
most of them have Facebook pages for sure.
Yeah, great. And we can do that. We can also, so there's two ways we can do Facebook. We can like link straight over to their page. So trying to think of an example, but the way I've done that a lot of times is just have like a big link and they can click on it and it launches Facebook. You can also do like an actual feed on the page. Trying to remember where that was. Yeah, so we can do it like kind of this way, like where it's just, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter icons, or we can actually like, we can have the feed present right there on the page.
Yeah, I think student ministry has Facebook and Instagram. I think maybe one of them has Twitter as well. So great. I know they're going to be asking, can we do more than one? That's why I was wondering about that.
As many as you want. Tons and tons. Yeah, so basically it's just set up, it's really easy. It's just set up as a series of icons. So, you just drop some, like here's, we'll just clone that icon right there. And we've preloaded a bunch of icons for you. The social media ones tend to be a little lower on the page. So, just go, grab Facebook, and I'll clone that twice. So then we can also grab, I'm just going to grab a couple for fun. So I'm grabbing like Pinterest. And there's, and then you would just link those up. So when you edit them, there's a link. You can set the link manually in this case because you're linking off the site, and then just put in there, let's put that. Whenever I'm linking off the site, I always recommend opening in a new window so people don't lose your site. You can specify size. I think this should do the trick, and we'll be like, you'll have another little example there. Yeah, and we can edit these. Like right now, I've got this kind of set up for this layout where the circle's more important, but we can make the icons a little bigger. You'll notice a little pulse there if there's a link attached to it. It's kind of fun.
Okay, so then you know how in Dreamweaver you say, the link, and then you say blank for them to come back to your site if they click off Facebook or whatever. Does that work the same way here?
So that's like setting your target. And in this case, what you do is you just, it's a little of a simpler setting option here. What you basically choose is, do you want them to open that in a new window or in the same window? And so what we're going to specify is in a new window. And that way, when they click it, like your site will stay open. See if I can do this. So like, see it's opening Facebook in a new window.
Okay.
And then when I close it, your page is still behind it.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, they fill out a little bit, like if you're actually specifying your target, there's in like Dreamweaver, there's a few more options and ways you can kind of deal with that. But this is pretty easy. It's like in a new window or in the same window.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of that is the overview of things. From here, my best recommendation is like dig in, start having some fun playing with it. Everything is, just make a clone of a page and go to town and have fun. And if if you have questions about something, let me know. Dig into what the options are. And then, from there, like you might run into, like you're already looking at some things and you're going, okay, how would I handle this scroller section here? And from there, we can start creating some new templates for you guys and ways for you to kind of play with new templates and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Brian wanted me to meet with you first, and then going to kind of take it from there for him to present things to the DLT and all that. So I'll talk to him further. I know he sent you the website stats, I think for like a 3-month period. I went back and, added all of those together from March through August, through now, and tried to get the top pages, because what he said the other day was, he said, we just need to start with the most frequently visited ones and then work our way back from that to decide if we're going to keep everything. So, and some of it was a little surprising, actually. So I think some that they thought was going to be a real hot thing isn't actually a hot thing.
Yeah. I can imagine. Analytics are always fun because it's like you really find out what your visitors are looking for and stuff. And, I think too, those analytics will be helpful for the next big hurdle I think that we have is to really figure out this navigation. Because, obviously, when you get show it to the DLT, if it's not representative of what they're looking for, that's going to be something that stands out probably to them really quickly. So, we've kind of got to figure this out and where we're going to put things. So yeah, I think that's also going to be part of looking at those analytics and helping figure out, do they, what pages need to be front and center because people are going there really frequently.
Yeah. Okay. So, is this something that I just need to send to him? Do I need to send it to you as well, or
The analytics? Is that
yeah,
what you're asking? I'd love
yep.
to look at them. I mean, I think that that's going to be ultimately that's going to be a decision for you guys and your team to make. But I'd love to look at them and just see, like, if there's anything that, because we were working on some outlines of suggested layouts and stuff like that. And so we've given a couple of those to Brian. I'd love to see if those analytics give us any new ideas.
Okay. I'll do that then. And yeah, like the 4D Kingdom Builder page, March through May, because that's when we developed the page. It was like 1,003 that the people looked at it, but then June through August it went down to 227. So
yeah, because some of these are seasonal, right? I mean, it's like your Christmas page probably right now has 0 traffic, right? But in November, all of a sudden it's going to be huge.
Right. So, okay, well, I will send this to him, and then I will email it to you as well, so that, that'll help along the way.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, and if there's anything, I know this probably feels like drinking from a fire hydrant a little bit. So if you have any questions at all, like, the best thing I can do is kind of get you oriented. I can't teach you every single thing because there's just too much to know.
Oh, yeah.
But my goal is to get you kind of oriented and then, like, just be available for you. If you have questions or you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like, we love helping. So if you need anything, just let me know.
Okay. The other question would be, Brian said something about me going through. I've got a lynda.com account because I've got my hands in so many different programs. So he mentioned originally me getting in there and looking at it, but I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I mean, can you be more specific? And so do you think at this point that would be helpful at all, or is it more just that this is the way ours is and don't worry about the lynda.com?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about lynda.com. Like, I think there's some aspects of that, like if you were setting up a site from scratch, that might be helpful.
Right.
Understanding the basics of like how WordPress works and stuff like that. But to be honest, like, we've customized WordPress to such a degree at this point that I think a lot of what you would learn wouldn't even be applicable.
Gotcha. That's kind of what I thought, but I just wanted to ask to be sure.
Yeah, and just use us too as your lynda.com. Like, if you, one of the things that I find can be very helpful is, like, if you ever have a question about, how do I do this? Sometimes I can just send you like, oh yeah, you click this button and this button, and that's, it's just a setting that we change. But there's other things, like if you're like, how do I manage my navigation? I can record a 5-minute screen share for you, like at my desk, and I do these all the time. I can record like a really quick 5-minute screen share for you, throw it up on YouTube, and send you a link, and like, here you go. And the great thing is that not only do we get to go over it one time, but if you're ever like, I forgot how to manage a link because I haven't done it in a couple of months, there's a video resource for you to go back to.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we're happy to do stuff like that. Like, I can't emphasize enough, like, we're here to help. I know this is a lot of stuff. So if you need anything, just don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay.
So, well, cool. Do you have any other questions or anything I can help you with today?
I don't think so. As soon as we hung up, I went, oh man, I forgot to ask about the staff page. So he said, well, write that down when you talk to him. He can answer that question. So, and then the other one was the icons with, like Facebook and that kind of stuff. So, well, I do have no questions.
I was going to show you real quick an example of a staff page we built recently that I think works out pretty well. Just so you can see what that could. So, I mean, here's one where we did, here's a lead teacher, a leadership team, and then you have like support staff. So, and we can add descriptions. We can have these linked to an individual page for a person if you want. We can add descriptions, contact information, like, you name it. We can add that as part of this layout. But this is this is a layout that we built just recently. So we can do something like that. Or like I said, there's also the possibility of doing an integration with ministry platform.
Yeah, and I'm not sure which way they're going to want to do it. So are you involved with the ministry platform aspect of it, or is the other guy?
Kendall is primarily the guy. He's like he's our developer that specializes in ministry platforms, so he'll be doing most of that. But you can like always talk to either one of us. I just know that he and Brian originally, like when they kind of negotiated the contract, made some decisions on which ministry platform integrations were going to be built, and I don't know that information.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because the main thing that we were talking about the other day